Right now across Nevada, 10 suburbs are watching their housing markets fall off a cliff in slow motion. We are not talking about a little dip here. We are talking about communities where home values are dropping, where inventory is piling up, where builders are desperately throwing in free upgrades just to get anyone, to sign a contract. You know what is crazy? Las Vegas is feeling the effects of affordability, pressures, and elevated mortgage rates more acutely than most other metros in the country. The city's economy depends on tourism, and when that slows down, everything slows down. If you bought a house in some of these suburbs at the peak, you're watching your equity evaporate like water in the desert. Let me take you through these 10 suburbs because each one has a disaster story. And if you own property in any of these places, you're going to want to hear this. Paradise. Yeah, that is actually its name. Ironic, right? This unincorporated town sits right next to the Strip, and it is anything but paradise right now. Nevada has one of the highest foreclosure rates in the country, 1 in every 2,326 housing units. And Paradise is getting hit hard. Foreclosure filings are up, inventory is climbing. And here's the kicker. This is supposed to be one of the affordable areas near Vegas. If Paradise is struggling, what does that tell you about everywhere else? Whitney is one of those neighborhoods that everyone said would be the next big thing. More affordable than Summerlin, close to everything, perfect for first-time buyers. But here's the thing. When the market turns, these areas are the first to crater. The median price per square foot in the greater Las Vegas area is $245, but Whitney is struggling to hit that. Inventory is building up and days on market are stretching out. It is becoming a buyer market, but the problem is buyers are not buying. Spring Valley used to be the sweet spot. Not as expensive as Summerlin, better than the older neighborhoods. Tons of dining and shopping, but now rental rates are at $1,390 for a one-bedroom. That is insane for a non-luxury suburb. And here's what nobody talks about. When rents get that high, people cannot save for down payments. When they cannot save for down payments, they cannot buy houses. When they cannot buy houses, inventory piles up. It is a death spiral. Oh man, North Las Vegas, this one hurts to watch. Rent is down 11.1% year over year. 11% in 1 year. You know what that tells you? People are leaving fast. North Las Vegas has been hit the hardest by foreclosures. We are talking about a 41% increase in notices of default since 2022. 41%. These are not just numbers. These are families losing their homes. And when foreclosures spike like that, property values tank. Carson City is supposed to be stable, state capital, government jobs, recession-proof, right? Wrong. September sales were up, but the median price for a single-family home jumped 10% in 1 month, then started falling again. That is not growth, that is volatility. Active inventory dropped 30% year over year. You might think that is good, but it is not. It means sellers are pulling their homes off the market because they cannot get the prices they want. When sellers give up, you know the market is in trouble. Sparks, right next to Reno, is seeing something really weird. Available inventory is up 9% year over year, but down almost 9% month to month. That is a market that does not know what it wants to do. And confused markets, they crash. The months of inventory is at 2.6 months. That sounds low, but for Nevada, that is actually climbing. Homes are taking longer to sell. 62 days to sell, 8 days longer than last year. In a healthy market, that number should be going down, not up. Summerlin is supposed to be the crown jewel of Las Vegas suburbs. Master plan community, great schools, luxury amenities. But guess what? Builders sold 37% fewer homes in September compared to last year, 37%. The median home price is holding at $640,000. But here's the dirty secret. Homes are selling above list price because sellers are listing below market value just to generate interest. When you have to play games like that to sell a house, the market is already broken. Henderson was the golden child. Top-rated schools, clean parks, strong safety record, but rental rates are dropping while Las Vegas proper is going up. You know what that means? Even renters do not want to pay Henderson prices anymore. The median listing price is around $530,000. But here is what they do not tell you. Henderson has the 10th largest new apartments in the country at 1,000 square feet. They are building bigger because they cannot sell smaller. That is desperation. Reno is not technically a suburb, but its suburban areas are getting crushed. The median home price fell 5.1% in just 1 month. 5%. That is not a correction. That is a cliff dive. Home sales dropped nearly 16% month to month. Available inventory is up 27% year over year. And here is the really scary part. Pending sales are rising while actual sales are falling. That means deals are falling through. When buyers cannot close, something is seriously wrong. And here we are, the grand champion of housing disasters, the entire Las Vegas suburban market. These places rode the pandemic boom higher than anyone, and now they're falling the hardest. The median home price dropped $5,000 in a single month. Sales are down, inventory is up 37% compared to last year, and we now have more active listings without offers than during COVID. Think about that. More unsold homes now than during a global pandemic. But you want to know what is really terrifying? Las Vegas has the third highest foreclosure rate among major metros. 1 in every 1,914 households is in foreclosure. That is not a housing correction, that is a crisis. Wall Street owns 40% of single-family rentals in some areas. These are not homes anymore, they are investment vehicles. And when investors smell blood in the water, they run for the exits. Think about that for a second. You scrimp and save for a down payment, you finally buy that dream house in Henderson or Summerlin, good schools for the kids, a nice yard, the whole thing. 2 years later, you owe more than it is worth. Your entire life savings gone. That is happening to real families right now. Nevada still needs to build more homes, but builders are pulling 33% fewer permits than last year. We have a shortage, but nobody wants to build because nobody is buying. The market is broken. Las Vegas Valley needs 58,000 new homes to fix the housing crisis, but they have been underbuilding for 15 years. If construction had stayed on pace, they would have built 281,000 more homes by now. That is not a mistake. That is a systemic failure. Tourism is closely linked to Nevada's economy. When tourism slows, everything slows. And guess what? It is slowing. The gambling industry pumps billions into the economy. People are not gambling when they cannot pay their mortgages. Mortgage rates are hovering between 6 and 7%. That might not sound high compared to the 1980s, but when home prices are this inflated, that extra 3% is the difference between qualifying and not qualifying. Most buyers are still on the sidelines, waiting for rates to drop. But what if they do not? And it is about to get worse. Foreclosure rates are expected to keep rising through 2026. Insurance premiums are surging. Homeowners association fees are climbing, and buyer demand is evaporating. For every 1% rise in insurance costs, foreclosures go up 1%. Insurance in Nevada is going up way more than 1%. You know what? Nobody talks about the knock-on effects. When home values crash, property tax revenues crash. When property tax revenues crash, schools suffer. When schools suffer, families leave. When families leave, home values drop more. It is a death spiral, and once it starts, it is nearly impossible to stop. Unemployment in Las Vegas is 5.8%, higher than the national average. The private sector actually lost jobs recently. When people do not have jobs, they do not buy houses, they lose houses. So, what happens next? Zillow is predicting a 1.2% to 2% decline in home values over the next year. That might not sound like much, but in a market this fragile, that could trigger a cascade. We are not talking about a housing correction, we are talking about a housing crisis. Here's what I think happens. The suburbs that boom the hardest, Summerlin, Henderson, Spring Valley, are going to see another 10 to 15% down easily. The second-tier suburbs might stabilize, but only if rates come down. And if rates do not come down, if we hit a recession, then we are not talking about a correction. We are talking about 2008 all over again. But here's the thing. Nobody wants to admit this was always going to happen. You cannot have home prices rising 20% a year while wages go up 3%. You cannot have California refugees bidding up houses in Nevada suburbs forever. You cannot build entire communities on speculation and expect it to last. The music was always going to stop. The only question was when. The question was when. And for these 10 Nevada suburbs, the answer is right now. The party is over. The bills are due. And a lot of people are about to find out their American dream was actually a desert mirage. If you own a home in any of these suburbs, you need to ask yourself one question. Can you afford to wait this out? Because this is not ending anytime soon. The correction is just getting started. And in Nevada, when things go bad, they go bad. The really tragic part, Nevada has no state income tax, relatively low property taxes, and it is still not enough. They did everything right. They attracted businesses, they built homes, they grew jobs, and it still was not enough. Because when speculation takes over, when prices disconnect from reality, when everybody is buying because they think prices will go up forever, that is when you know the end is near. And for these 10 Nevada suburbs, the end is not coming. It is here.